You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Welcome to episode 276. Welcome to a brand new episode. And welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am your host, Juan. I'm joined by Zach. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. You have a good weekend?
Good weekend. Got some recent watches in. Time's just flying, dude. We got feels like 1 week before Christmas, and we're off to the races of 2024.
Yeah, just a few more days. Are you ready for the big special holiday?
I am. You know, it feels like every year Christmas gets earlier and earlier. I feel like next year, the lights will be up in September, to be honest. So it just comes and goes so quick. I mean, it's just kind of shocking how quick it goes.
I think the year has been so rough for some people. By the time that summer heat is just over, people are like, "Bring on Christmas."
Oh yeah. Well, the news was on in the other room, and they said it was the hottest year on record for planet Earth. So the day after tomorrow is coming, folks. Just be prepared.
Speaking of the day after tomorrow, it's not on my recent watches today, but it probably will be soon. The new End of the World movie with Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke is getting some buzz. A lot of people are saying it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I hope to talk about it next week before our top 5 plus 5.
Yeah, I'm so much to watch, so little time.
Speaking of, guys, a look back last week, we talked about The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. It was the 20th anniversary. Me, you, and Craig had a fun conversation. You guys probably thought I was going to completely trash on that long-ass movie, but that was not the case.
Yeah, you shocked both of us.
So if you guys want to hear our thoughts on that movie, go back and listen to the archives. You can listen to any episode in the past. Just look us up on social media, Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also check us out on social media. We have giveaways, certificates, all kinds of things you can win. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Instagram, one word, / the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. And then X is Cine-Men405, or you can email us at cinemen921@gmail.com. Zach, since it's just me and you next week, I think besides our top 5 plus 5, I think we're also just going to go through and just chat with people and have some email conversations. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like we haven't done emails in over a year, I'm going to be honest.
But yeah, so go back and listen to last week's episode. You know what is getting a lot of praise, and we're getting so many comments and likes and shares, is the Scarface episode. That has slowly reached one of our most fastest downloaded episodes of the year, and people are obsessed over the Scarface, the good, the bad, and the ugly accents that we all did during that episode.
How many hateful emails did I get about not liking the movie?
You gave it a 7.
Well, not in today's world, a 7 is like trash. If you don't give it a 9 or a 10, then you're subsided, you're outcasted from society.
Is it?
So,
man, well, let's get into some recent watches. Do you have any that you want to get off your mind or your heart? How has the Godzilla streaming show been treating you?
Overall, the Godzilla show's been good. I'm just one episode behind, and I'm probably going to watch that tonight. But I'm just really trying to just get caught up from stuff I've watched that I missed over the year. I'll just rapid fire through mine. The Exorcist Believer on Peacock. I know you're a fan of the original.
I'm buying the Blu-ray.
I know you're buying the Blu-ray, but I'm just curious about what you think. I just thought it was just kind of
garbage.
I don't know if I'd call it the worst thing in the year, but it just I'll just spoiler alert, nothing really happens until the first 40 minutes of the movie. So
that's the original Exorcist.
So, well, like I said, you're a fan of the original, so you might appreciate it more. Past Lives, very, very, very good film.
Oh yeah.
I understand why it's getting all the buzz and the accolades nominations right now, which we'll talk about Golden Globes here in a minute. Strays,
which is also going to be our special Valentine's Day episode, February 14th on that Wednesday, is past lives. So
there you go. Strays, it is what it is. I'll just say that.
Is that gonna win your dog shit of the year award?
No.
No.
I saw something else that was way worse than that.
Oh no.
So, and then finally, I watched this movie called Ghosted. That's on Apple TV. It's with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. People have been trashing on it. I thought it was just a fun action rom-com, honestly. So
you're a Chris Evans bitch, though. You love you some Chris Evans.
No, I love me some Ana de Armas, but I don't know about Chris Evans. So check out Monarch. I'd say check out Ghosted on Apple TV. So what about you?
Man, you know what? It's been short. Other than talking about, I rewatched The Menu, Titanic in 4K, Almost Christmas,
and its beautifulness.
It's a pretty good looking transfer. And my TV is still like 4 years old, so if that tells you something, it's a pretty good transfer. 8 Crazy Nights, Santa Claus the movie with Dudley Moore. We're gonna talk about it next week, but that's an uncovered Christmas gem that I don't think a lot of people talk about anymore. And then the Sound of Freedom, which we're getting ready to get into today. So, yeah. But, Zach, you want to talk about some of the Golden Globe nominations? What is there, like 5 drama and 5 comedy / musical?
Yeah. I'm just going to wrap it through some of these. Overall, the most with the nominations, Barbie came out with 9, Oppenheimer came out with 8, and Killers of the Flower Moon came out with 7.
That's insane. Barbie has 9 nominations.
Yeah. Oh, the Critics' Choice Awards nomination came out. I think they had like 18 nominations.
Does anybody really care about those anymore, though? The Critics' Choice? To me, that's almost like a fancy word for the MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah, essentially. So I'll do the director, the acting, and the best pictures if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Best director, we have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, which that movie hits Netflix I think today. Greta Gerwig, Barbie, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Celine Song for Past Lives. That's a very good category. Very stacked.
You know, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I think it's Christopher Nolan and Martin. It's his year. No, I think it's Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese's to lose. I think the other ones just got the nom, which they deserve it. But I really do think the achievement in directing of just watching those 2 movies, I think it's really hard not to choose those 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, Nolan and Scorsese are like the top, but I could see Greta. She may come away with it, because that was no easy task to do a Barbie movie and actually it'd be good.
Yeah, to me that would be the dark horse of the dark horse win.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actress, Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, Jodie Foster for Niad, Julianne Moore for May December, Rosamund Pike for Saltburn, Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. I would have to say Davine Joy Randolph. I thought she was extraordinary. I know you haven't seen the Holdovers yet, but I thought she was phenomenal in that.
It comes out soon already.
Yeah, I think it's already. I think you can get it on like streaming, or like pay it for like $20 or whatever. Supporting actor, William Girthy DeVoe, Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling, Barbie, Charles Melton for May December, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things.
So they did they did do De Niro for supporting.
Yeah. So I think we talked about that before you went and saw the movie, and so I was right.
Yep.
Best actress in a musical or comedy, Fantasia Barrino, The Color Purple, This one shocked me. This one was shocking, but I'm kind of glad. Jennifer Lawrence for No Hard Feelings, Natalie Portman, May December, Alma Piasti for Fallen Leaves, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and Emma Stone for Poor Things.
Wow.
Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy, Nicolas Cage for Dream Scenario, Timothée Chalamet for Wonka, Matt Damon for Air, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid, and Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction.
I haven't seen American Friction, but everything else is pretty astonishing. I wouldn't be shocked to see.
I think in that category, Paul Giamatti might get that because he was very good in The Holdovers. Timothée Chalamet would be cool. I'm going to see Wonka this weekend, so I'll let you know how that is. All right, so best actor in a drama, Annette Bening for Niad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Greta Lee for Past Lives, Carey Mulligan, Maestro, and Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla. I gotta go with Lily Gladstone. I think she has that in the bag.
She's already won so many awards. I think it's just a matter of time until she gets the big two.
Oh yeah. Best actor in a drama, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Leonardo DiCaprio, Killers of the Flower Moon, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Barry Keoghan for Saltburn, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers.
What is it with Bradley Cooper lately? The past few years, just him directing and starring and doing all his own stuff. He's kind of somebody who's gotten lost in the shuffle lately.
He is, and he's the dark horse to maybe win Best Actor this year. Honestly, I haven't seen Maestro. I'm really looking forward to watching it. I would like to see Cillian Murphy win. I think that'd be a cool top off for the whole Oppenheimer thing. Best animated film: The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Brothers, Suzumi, and Wish.
The Boy and the Heroine.
The Boy and the Heron. No,
okay.
That's a very different movie. Probably Across the Spider-Verse, in my opinion.
Didn't it win in 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about this one. They have a new category: cinematic and box office achievement.
Oh my god! Avatar wins.
No. Nominees are Barbie, Guardians 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Brothers, and the Taylor Swift Eras Tour film.
Oh, that's why they made that category just so Taylor Swift could win a movie award. Yeah.
But I feel like that's just kind of like, hey,
it's a popularity award.
Yeah, the general and Barbie's going to win that for sure.
Yeah.
Which is, Barbie's going to win like 12 other things. So I don't know why you didn't even nominate that for this.
Who knows? What if they just nominated Barbie for all those awards just to have it win one or two?
Wouldn't that be a turn of events?
They've done movies like that before.
Yeah, that is true.
Overall, Zach, what do you think of the Golden Globe noms?
Let me do the best pictures and then we'll talk about it. Musical or comedy, Best Picture: Air, American Fiction, Barbie, The Holdovers, May December, and Poor Things. And for drama, Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, and The Zone of Interest. In my opinion, this is a Barbie Oppenheimer showdown, honestly, and it'll pretty much set the course for what's going to happen for leading up to the Oscars.
So
that's how the show's always been.
So you don't give Killers of the Flower Moon any chance to win Best Picture?
I want it. I mean, it'd be cool. I think Lily Gladstone has it in the bag, but I think if it's going to win anything else, it might win direction for Scorsese, and it might win Best Picture. We'll just have to see.
You remember last year? Was it last year or 2 years ago? You had some really historic, popular, very good directors up for Best Director. I think Spielberg and a few others, and it ended up going to some director who won it last year.
I think last year, I can look that up. Hold on one second. Last year at the Golden Globes, The Fabelmans did win Best Drama. The Banshees of Inisherin won musical or comedy. Best Director went to Spielberg. Spielberg won it for Best Director last year at the Golden Globes.
Oh, but it was the directors from Everything All at Once that won Best Director.
At the Oscars, yeah.
You know what? At the Oscars this year, watch Past Lives win more than it probably should.
We'll talk about it in February, but I mean, it has a chance. I mean, you saw it before I did, and I think we can both agree it's a very good film.
It is.
So overall,
you think they got it right? Is there anything that you think they left out?
I'm kind of the only thing that I was kind of surprised by that America Ferrera didn't get a nomination for Barbie. I thought we all thought her performance was really good in that. So
let's dig into today's episode. Today we're talking about The Sound of Freedom. It had a July 4th, 2023 release date. IMDb has it at 7.7. Rotten Tomatoes at 57%. The Metascore is way down at 36%, while the Google users, though, like it at 90%. It had a $14 million budget, and it grossed a little over $250 million at the box office. The incredible true story of a former government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from traffickers. In the movie, it should say embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue one child from human trafficking.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a little backwards for a minute, but at the end of the movie, we'll talk about it. Starring
Jim Caviezel.
There you go.
I mean, that's really the main actor. I mean, you have Mira Sorvino as like the wife, and Bill Camp as Vampiro. That's really about it. All the other ones are kind of unknown actors.
And then directed by Alejandro Monteverde. I probably butchered that, but
yeah, it'll be all right.
Sound of Freedom. Zach, let's talk about the controversial box office, whether it made more money than it should have, whether it was a word of mouth. I mean, you're the only one out of all of us to go see it and drop money at it in the box office in the theater.
Yeah.
What was the buzz going around opening weekend? Because again, I heard about it, but I didn't still start catching the buzz until about week 2 or 3 when it kept making money, and it was coming in behind Barbie and Oppenheimer, still for number 3. I think it even beat out Mission Impossible one weekend. So, and honestly, we've already talked about now all those big July releases. We've now talked about Sound of Freedom, Mission Impossible, Barbie, and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
What was the buzz going into the movie theater for you?
Really, the buzz for me was I just didn't know. I remember seeing like little ads about it, not really seeing a trailer, but just kind of like, Sound of Freedom in theaters July 4th. And I didn't even know what the hell it was, honestly. And, July 4th came and we wanted to go see a movie. And I kid you not, man, this thing was sold out citywide. Like if you were going from like Quail Springs all the way down to Norman, every single showing was sold out. We ended up going to like a 9:00 in the morning at Harkins Theater on July 4th. That's how packed it was. And like I said, the buzz was kind of there really was no buzz about it. Because I know this is a Christian film, I know like it was going to sell out, obviously. But I didn't look at the Rotten Tomatoes score or nothing like that. So I didn't really have like I said, I didn't even know what the movie was about.
So really, you just went in wanting to see a movie July 4th weekend and knowing that it was a Christian movie. That's the main reason for you going to see the movie.
Well, and I'd seen everything else up to that point, so it was really the only thing that I hadn't seen. Walking out of it,
Golly.
Good damn.
It's like a 64-ounce cup of a drink, and I'm already halfway through. I think I'm going to get sick.
Walking out of the movie, I was just astonished, honestly, how powerful this movie was, how good it was, I've never really seen a movie where I walk out of it and be like, that's going on like right now. Just the horrific nature of the situation, and be like, there are kids, there are in that situation, and there's no one really coming for them, and it's just a horrific situation. So, and then like you said, it just made so much money that it just became a sleeper hit, and people were just like, God damn. Like I had coworkers say, "Hey, have you seen this?" I said, "Yeah," and they went and saw. They're like, God damn. So, what'd you think about it?
As soon as it was over, I didn't go sit in the theater, so I watched it today for the first time for the episode. And it definitely hits you when the movie's over because you are like, especially if you have kids, you're like, damn, that like you said, that stuff is going on today. But this is a strong but. How many times does something like this come out? And a lot of people just turn their cheek. Yeah, they're foreigner kids. They're non-American. You know what I mean? Like just the city stamp of they're not our kids, so let's just turn the cheek. And you get
Right.
that you get that feeling during the movie, with like one of the head leaders of Homeland Security. He's like, you got the one save. That's a career cap. Move on.
Yeah. 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 I think there is something to say about that. I mean, because these aren't, American kids or whatever, the general public, do they really care about this situation at the end of the day?
And
It's very debatable.
what was a lot of the controversy surrounding this film to where movie theaters didn't want to show it or would turn off the AC during the showing of the movie? You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of like fishy stuff going on when the movie was streaming or when the movie was being shown.
Well, I mean, it's showing a very dark and horrific side of humanity, and these are real organizations that kidnap and do horrible human trafficking to kids, and it's very awful, and they make money off of it. So I would think they don't want a movie coming out that shows that what their business is.
It's crazy that I found this out the week that we were talking about this movie. Is one of the local police department officers came into my job, as they always do. So we had a conversation, and he was telling me that right here in Oklahoma City, the Scissortail Park is the number one stop site for human trafficking throughout the entire state of Oklahoma.
Wow.
It's the number one place where kids get abducted and are targeted for human trafficking. And the city of Oklahoma knows about it, but they don't want to do anything about it because they've spent so much money in making Scissortail Park an attraction. They don't want to do anything about it.
That's crazy. And if you really think about it geographically, that is a perfect spot. I mean, because there's
Right off
exits
the
all over the
highway.
place. Yeah, grab the kid and let's go. I mean that, and I'm gonna ask you this question here a little bit. But that opening scene where
The Honduras opening.
yeah, where the father takes the kids, they think it's a talent scout, and he comes back to pick them up, and there's nothing. They're just gone. I think it does have a lot of horror elements to it, where it's just like he just goes down the hallway and you hear that very sinister score, honestly, and it just really sets the mode. And then you have like the opening credits where you see like traffic cam footage of like people just kidnapping kids just off their mothers as they're sleeping.
Now this isn't a joke that I'm going to bring up to you, but what were you thinking? This was PG-13.
Jesus saves kids.
No. What
No.
were you thinking of? What I don't think they would have made the same mistake twice. But what do you think would have happened if they got somebody like Mel Gibson to direct this movie?
Honestly,
do you feel like it should have been more graphic?
I personally, it's yes and no. It's yes because this is happening right now, even as we talk about this film. You don't, because you're just automatically going to lose like viewerships and audience members because they're not going to sit through a 2 hour, almost a damn near 2.5 movie where kids are being molested. I think this movie really, and I want to get your opinion about this. I think this movie tread the line so carefully of like when the little girl is like sitting on the bed and the old man walks in there and he
Yep.
like he like pulls the blinds or the curtains.
That's all you
And
needed for a scene like that.
yeah, and it just stays on that for about 5 seconds. I was like, that's all you need, and then it cuts to her in the bathtub. It's like that's perfect. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to see. It gives the idea perfectly.
Yeah.
So, as a parent, I don't have kids. I'm not married, but as a parent watching this, what was your reaction to it? No.
No. Honestly, it was a little tough, but you think and put scenarios like that into your head to where you try not to put yourself ever in that situation, but sometimes you just can't help it. One of the most horrific scenes in the movie for me was when the movie started off and you saw all the scenarios of how, all the security cam footage of how kids get snatched up.
Yeah.
To me, that's probably the most terrifying thing about this whole situation, the whole movie, and the whole real life scenarios is that people are doing this now in broad daylight. People are doing this as you're loading the car of groceries. You're loading your car with the groceries and the kids in the, in the front thing.
Yeah.
Um, stuff like that's happening all the time. I mean, you can always think about, I got to do this to be safer. I got to do that. But sometimes at the end of the day, you're always being watched, I feel like. And
Yeah.
if you have kids, I feel like you're always being watched, whether it's people making sure you're doing the right thing, people want to make sure you're doing the wrong thing. People are watching because maybe they are trying to take, it's just so tough.
I've really heard, I mean, I've heard stories that, the mom or dad just look away. Just like you said, just putting the bags of groceries in the car and the kid gets taken from the basket.
Yep. And you know what? I hate this. I don't want to say that I do every situation right or I try to place the card every right way. But I would always rather either be late or put somebody else in a situation to where they have to wait instead of me waiting. If somebody's looking to take my cart because hell, let me take the cart off your hands.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I always make sure to park as close to certain areas as I can. So stuff like that is always going through my mind, at least.
Yeah.
Even if the kid is crying and screaming, I'm still taking the time to set him in there, buckle him up. Even if it's a little snug on him because he's a big baby, I'm still taking the extra time to snap that thing.
Yeah.
Because you never know. And the thing that sucks about it now is like, man, people are so quick about it. Like I said earlier, they're doing some of the stuff in broad daylight at some of the busiest grocery stores in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, you think that it's just, oh, it only happens in like in the movie like Honduras or Colombia, places that don't have that highest security. No, this stuff is happening all over the United States as well.
Yeah. I mean, and this isn't, and the whole idea of human trafficking, it goes beyond kids. Like I was on the news tonight, they were talking about someone stalking young women at a college campus. It's like, damn, like there's just the level of determination and their access is almost unparalleled of what they're able to do.
I had to kick somebody off the place of my job because he was in a random white car with no tag, and he was out. He got out of his car, and he was asking every person that was in my store was like a young, probably 17 to 21-year-old female, and he was asking them, "Hey, do you guys play video games?" and signaling them to go to the bathroom. And then I had to like step out and talk to security and say, "Hey, he's trying to get people to go in the car with him."
Mm.
And yeah, stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah, terrible, honestly. I mean, there's really no other word to really describe it. And the fact that that happens in broad daylight, that's the craziest thing to me. It's just like, you would think that, oh, you're not safe at, obviously you're not safe at night, but these people don't care. You saw the movie. They've stashed the kids right off the streets.
I have to look over my shoulder almost every time I go buy Blu-rays because you never know.
That they might steal the kid, or they might steal the Blu-ray that you're wanting.
Or they might try to take me.
A little combination of all three. But in all seriousness,
that's just me though. I'm always trying to put a little limelight on stuff.
Yeah. What do you think about when we get past like the two kids being kidnapped, and you see the security cam footage, and you get introduced to Tim Ballard? What do you think? It kind of threw me off for a loop because I thought, is he a sexual predator that's trying to get kids?
You're talking about the scene with Oshinsky?
Yeah.
The guy who with the glasses and the nerdy look, and he like you could spot him a mile away. Oh, he's damn sure is a pedophile.
Yeah. It threw me off for a loop because I was just like, well, is he in on it? But obviously it sets up the idea that he's undercover, and then like the diner scene is like, all right, cool, thanks for helping him. It's like, now you're under arrest for child trafficking. It has that big grin on his face.
But so this is if you look at it on like IMDb, it's labeled as docudrama, true crime, biography, crime, drama, history. Do you think they tried too much to make it feel like a docudrama? Some scenes I was almost like, this feels like it's I don't know if maybe just because it's the way it was shot, but some moments of the film I felt like I was watching a daytime TV show.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. I didn't feel the idea that it was kind of shot like a documentary. This felt like a very, honestly,
not like it was shot like a documentary, but at some scenes I felt like I was watching a soap opera.
Like it was just kind of like too soapy, like the dramatic aspect of it, kind of.
Yeah. And it was scenes like the drama, like the diner scene, or the scene where he's lighting up a cigarette with him. It just felt a little too, like it had too much cheese on it.
Honestly, it felt, now that I'm kind of sitting here talking about it with you, it feels like a David Fincher film. Just the way it's kind of shot, and like the cinematography, it feels like very dark in some parts of it. It's just like, wow, Fincher could have directed this, and it would have been, I think if Fincher could have directed this, it would have been an Oscar contender, to be honest. But, I don't think there's only one point in this film where, and I'm just not big on these Christian type films. I just think that, and not even because they're, I'm against it. It's just, I just think they're made very badly. They're just not very good.
It's a low budget film.
Yeah. But I mean, there's only one instance where he's just like, God's kids are not for sale. That was the only one that was just kind of like, okay, so, you really are trying to get this message across. But
so you thought there were going to be more?
Oh, very heavy-handed about it. Angel Studios is a Christian film company, and so when I saw that, I was like, oh Lord, for 2 hours we're going to be doing this. But it really stuck to the rescue mission and his just really determination of trying to get these kids back. And I agree with you. I think this was an instance where it's just like, maybe these were the two first kids that he tried to rescue, and like at the end of the film it says like he's rescued like however many more since those two. Maybe that was the point of the movie. Plus you have to also kind of remember, when they set up that fake hotel and they bring the boat loads of kids in, I'm like, that those are like, what they say, like almost 60 kids that they rescued in that moment.
Yeah.
So
what did you think of the scene where he gets the son, he gets the little boy, he rescues the boy, and he gets him reunited with the dad? That was kind of the spark of hey, I just can't stop at one. I need to find his sister, and I need to get through. And I find the word vigilante used, I kind of chuckled at that. I don't know why they would use that in there.
Well,
But
it's almost like a superhero origin story in this movie. I hate to say that, but like I don't mean that as a joke, but it feels very like Iron Man-y a little bit. You know, it's just kind of like I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to set up this guy that he doesn't want to be a hero. He's just trying to do the right thing at the end of the day.
like the pacifier with Vin Diesel. I mean,
oh Lord.
that kind of had to do with human trafficking, even though they didn't really say it.
You're expecting Vin Diesel to come in here with a bunch of Corona and say family. I don't know, man. Like I liked the character of Vampiro, who I don't know if that is based off of like a true character or not.
That was the WCW wrestler back in the day. Vampiro came out with paint on his face and all.
Man, I know you're excited about the Iron Claw, man. But let's try to stay focused on this.
You know, at first I thought Vampiro was a criminal. I thought he was like in on it, and
oh, I see what you're saying. Like,
yeah,
he's an ex-criminal. Like
right.
They said, he like worked for cartel or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, like, I see what you're saying. Like he was in on it or whatever. And they're trying to catch him. Yeah. But I think one of those powerful moments of the movie is that scene where where Ballard just says to him, like, "Why are you doing this? Like, what's your end on this?" And he tells this very disturbing, almost horrific story of, you know, he was drunk one night, got someone off the streets, and it turns out it was a 14-year-old girl. And that really, it changed his whole perspective on life, essentially.
That's insane. What did you think of the beach house scene where they brought those first set of like 30 to 60 kids?
I really thought, I think in the hands of another director, which I haven't seen any of Alejandro's other films, they could have easily made that to like a big action set piece, but it's just the reality of, you know, right moment, right place, right circumstances, and they were able to save all these kids except for the sister. And I thought, and I want to get your opinion about this. I thought by the time you get to that, which I think is like maybe the hour and how long is this movie? 2 hours and like 13 minutes?
2 hours and 11 minutes.
2 hours and 11 minutes. That's probably like an hour and 30 minutes. We still have like another 40 minutes to go. I thought, in my opinion, by the time you get to the end of the beach scene, I'm so emotionally exhausted with everything that's happened up to this point. I think you could have easily ended the movie right there and said that, you know, he still took everything. It took everything, and it took every resource he had to find the sister. But instead, we do like the whole jungle sequence, and I wasn't checked out. I wasn't, you know, irritated by it, but I was just exhausted by that point.
Oh, of just the story?
Yeah. Just the thematic, emotional weight of the situation, and just like, you know, he's literally going into the jungle in the dead of night against these really heinous people, and at any point this could easily turn terrible.
So by that point, you were just kind of already.
I was just like, I didn't want them. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't tired. I was just emotionally drained. I was just like, how much more emotional terrorism is there left in this movie?
Yeah.
What do you think about? What do you think about him going into the jungle to find the sister?
I do agree. At that point of the movie, I was probably a little too, I'm not going to say overly drawn out of the story, but I did feel like it was just a little too excessive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe a straight 2 hour film chopped down to maybe an hour 45.
Yeah.
Because
I would agree with that.
When his boss told him to go over there and do what you can, he was like, keep it under a 10 grand budget, right?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably
that's my only nitpick of the movie, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is and that is just making it what your nitpick of being it that it's a little
That
too lengthy, that you're just kind of
yeah.
twiddling your thumbs.
Not even twirling my thumbs. I'm just like, thematically, I think this movie like you said, need to be like an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe do like a director's cut when it hit Blu-ray. I saw the Blu-ray at Mardell's, and I'm surprised there's no special features on that. Like maybe interviewing the real Tim Ballard and telling his story or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's like no special features on that.
So you were shocked at it that there. Well, I mean, same thing. I ended up looking at it today, and there were no special features. And at that point, I'm just like, what am I spending $24.99 on? Just literally just the film.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting how that kind of plays out.
And it's not even. I don't even think it's streaming anywhere, right?
Not at the time of this recording, no. Which, like I said, it kind of shocks me that this movie has got such high praise and high, became such a word of mouth movie that it's not on any streaming services yet. It just came out on Blu-ray. What, like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
No, it came out like around. I wanted to say Thanksgiving time, or maybe the week before.
Oh, so like the week before Thanksgiving, probably.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Was like, is this a movie that you could see yourself getting, or is it not even?
No, like I remember walking out of that movie saying like that was a very powerful story, but I'll probably never watch that again.
Yeah, it came out November 14th on physical media.
Yeah, right there.
Physical media. It came with the DVD. It came with the DVD and digital copy, but it's not. There's no special features, and in big letters on the back it says, "God's children are not for sale."
Now they did. Since you didn't see this in the theater, I'll just say, after the credits was over, there was like a 2-minute message from the actor Jim Caviezel, who was just saying, was that in there too?
It might be on there too, because I didn't finish the credits, but it did say special message after credits at the very bottom.
Yeah, and it was just saying like, this movie was actually made like 3 or 4 years ago, but no studio, they wouldn't give the studio wouldn't give backing. They didn't want to promote it. They didn't want to release it.
Oh wow!
And they essentially, he said, the way this film gets known is by viewers like you that come see this and go tell friends, family, relatives, and and how it very like, we want this movie to be seen, but we're not. It's not Disney. It's not Universal. We don't have the backing to get this movie out. So thank you for coming to see it.
Interesting.
So
it does make you wonder, like, what is the whole worrisome of, like, why did nobody want to do anything for this movie? Like, was it, you know what I mean? Like, I've literally seen way more. I don't know. I know it's a touchy subject, but
listen to this. The film was completed in 2018, and a distribution deal was made with the Latin American subsidiary of 20th Century Fox. When that studio was purchased by Disney, it shelved the film. Subsequently, the filmmakers bought the distribution rights back from the studio. Wow. Angel presented this Angel Studio presented the film to an online group of 100,000 investors in its past projects, and then they gave it a yes vote within days. And in 2023, Angel Studios had acquired worldwide distribution rights with the planned release during the second half of 2023. So they were trying to get this to be like maybe not an Oscar contender, but maybe for it to be seen widely, which it accomplished its goal. The fact, like you said, the fact that this came out July 4th, it toppled Mission Impossible and stayed in third place with the Barbie and Oppenheimer. That's impressive. That's very impressive. So, yeah, overall, like I said, I don't think I'd have watched this again. But I'm glad I saw it in the theater. It was a very powerful moving experience. So
when he finally did rescue Rocio, and like you said, you were kind of done with it by the time he rescued her, and he got her in the van and being shot at on the way out.
Yeah.
So
you think it was too much? You think they could have just he found her and it cut to like paragraphs explaining like what happened afterwards?
Probably. I even though the ending was good and the reuniting was good, I still feel like it was just. I think that this is one of those movies that I highly doubt you should go in wanting an amazing story, wanting an amazing performance. This is a movie that is strictly about getting the point across, and that's it. Not only getting the point across, but telling, like Zach said, his story, the beginning of his story. This is him becoming Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think there are good performances in here, but I agree with you. It is this movie does have an idea just that it's striving towards. I do think it accomplished it, but at the same time, you're dealing with a very serious, touchy subject, and while this movie made a lot of money, people are not going to go out and willingly watch this. They are going to go see something that's a lot more lighthearted. Or, they don't want to deal, or I shouldn't say deal, they don't want to acknowledge the situation that's going on all around the world.
Yeah. Or like just in general, like, if you're a fan of just film in general, and you know what, like kind of like how we are, this is a serious subject, but it's one of those movies that got talked about. It made a lot of money. So again, I think if you're a film fan in general and you're an average moviegoer, I think this is a movie you should at least watch once. Just like how you talked about Scarface 2 weeks ago. I'm not comparing Sound of Freedom and Scarface in the same sentence, even though they both happen in the District of Columbia, kind of. Am I right? But I think just as a film fan in general, I do think you should at least probably give this a shot. Just because of the subject matter and the story, it's loosely based off of a true story. Like I said, though, don't go in expecting, a Leonardo DiCaprio performance or a big budget like The Dark Knight or a 3-hour epic like Oppenheimer.
That is a good question. Do you think if they had gotten someone like Leonardo DiCaprio or Bradley Cooper or a main named actor, do you think this could have been? Or do you think you're kind of in the same situation?
I think you're in the same situation. Like you said, no studios wanted to touch it. No studios even wanted to put a finger on it. So therefore, I think who's everybody probably would have bounced out of it. So the actor like what's his name? Jim Cavill.
Caviezel, yeah.
There we go. That's Henry Cavill's brother. I think an actor like him putting his touches on this movie shows you that he wasn't worried about money. He wasn't worried about getting an Oscar nod. He just wanted to get the performance out there and get the story across.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you have I know it's kind of hard to say a favorite scene of a subject matter like this kind of a film, but did you have a scene that stood out?
Probably the scene with Vampiro, just talking about how he made that horrible discovery and it just changed his life. I will say this movie, cinematography wise, had a really cool ending and opening shot where you zoom in on the window with what was the name? Rocio, and it pulls back and just it's just kind of like I like how it's kind of like you're going into this world of just like horrificness, and you're leaving with the idea of while she did go through something that's very traumatic and likely that's just scars the rest of her life, there is hope that maybe at the end of the day, some of these kids can be rescued and they could have a normal life.
Even then, I think as a kid, if you go through something like this, I don't think there is a normal life after being rescued.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What about you? Did you have a quote unquote favorite scene?
If I had to have a scene that I had to acknowledge, it would probably be, probably the scene where he's talking to his wife. That's probably a scene that really hit when he's like, could you imagine? She was the same age as their daughter. If we go in there and her bed is empty, what would we do? That right there kind of shows you and tells you that, hey, stuff like this happens all the time, and you have a parent who's talking to his significant other about the real life situation. Stuff like that's where, you know, it haunts you as a parent. You'd never want to go through anything like that. So that scene right there where they're pointing it out, pretty hard to talk about, pretty hard to sit through. And then the reuniting of the family, the two kids and the father at the end. So yeah. Let's give a star rating on Sound of Freedom. I'll go first. Again, like you said, I don't know if I'm going to pick this back up and rewatch it soon. I think I don't even know when the right time would be to pull this movie out and watch it again. I mean, maybe Easter Sunday when the whole family's around. Or would you want to watch this, Thanksgiving instead of watching the big game? But I think it was a subject matter that had to be talked about. It was a movie of the year that gained so much popularity that we had to talk about. The subject matter was tough, but again, the movie did its job by getting it out there. I would have to give this movie a 6 for now. I was standing on the fence about whether giving it a 6 or a 7, but being unbiased and just talking about it as a film in general, I don't know when I'll pick it up again, but I'm going to give it a 6. Zach, what about you?
I'm going to go higher. I think the advent of seeing this in the theater really gave this movie a little bit more appreciation for me. I think there is a good performance in here. I think this is an important film to see. Just knowing that this is going on, like I said, as we talk on this podcast. But it just doesn't have the rewatchability. Like I said, I don't know if I'll ever rewatch this again, with the exception of for this show. But the movie just hit me where, it should, if you're going to make a film like this. So I'll give it an 8. So
an 8. And then I did like the glossiness of the disc art.
Yeah, I like that. That looks nice.
It's got a nice. So, and then you know what? For example, like we talked about it on last week's episode, this might be something that they never put on streaming. A streaming service like a Netflix or an HBO Max may never want to pick up rights to this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
physically,
that's true.
If they never want to touch it, guess what? If I ever do have the reason or the want to rewatch it, it's mine. We talked about it.
Yeah, that's true.
And what's crazy is I found this. Is this put out by Angel Studios too?
Let me see. Put it back up real quick. No, it's not Angel Studios. I think it's Pure Flex Productions.
Pure Flex.
Yeah.
Never seen it, but it was $1 at the Dollar Tree. Let me hear it, Zach.
The man knows no bounds when it comes to Blu-rays. But I'll be curious if you watch that. I'm just curious to see, as a Christian film, which one would you prefer if you had to watch those two again? Which one would it be?
God's Not Dead has Kevin Sorbo in it.
Hercules himself.
I was a big ass Hercules fan in the 90s, so
that might have a advantage over it.
No,
so.
But next week, Zach, I'm interested. I'm interested in hearing what everybody else is talking about and what everybody else's emails are. Send in the emails. We'll talk about them. Next week, next Wednesday, December 27th, we are talking our top 5 plus 5 holiday movies. You know what? It's just not the holidays unless we pick these movies out and watch them. I think it's just going to be a fun episode. Zach, I think it's just us going through our 10 favorite holiday movies. This is our first top 5 plus 5 episode since April. What are you most looking forward to about next week?
The list, man. Love to categorize things. Love to list them off. And I do want to preface, like you said, we're doing holiday movies, but we're also doing like TV shows, specials, anything that you relate to that holiday. So when we bring up, the Big Bang Theory Christmas episode, we're like, wait, you're doing what? Just, everything, like you said, anything that you feel is holiday related and you can't do that holiday without it, it counts.
Yeah. And then that's it, man. That's next week is the last episode of 2023 for us. And then, we're not done yet because January is right around the corner. And January 3rd, we are talking about the 10th anniversary of Whiplash.
Oh, yeah.
Miles Teller.
J.K. Simmons.
And you know what? There's your first look at our brand new poster. I think it's going to be fun. I cannot wait to talk about Whiplash. I don't know who's going to talk about it with me, but I know it is an episode, and we will get through it. Man, it's going to be fun. I think Nick is gonna join me. So Nick from Friday the 14th podcast will be on. We're gonna have a fun conversation all about Whiplash.
I might have to join in with you guys because I really do. I was going to suggest doing that movie this year, and that'd be a fun conversation to have.
And then you know what? We kick it off some more after that. So 2024 seems like it's going to be another fun year. We're going to shake things up some. So don't think things are changing, but we are not going anywhere. Other than that, man. Any other final comments? We're going to put the final nail in the coffin on Sound of Freedom, and all roads lead to the top 5.
Yeah. I think that's, like you said, this movie does deserve to be watched at least once. Whether you're just trying to catch up for the year or you think this is one of your favorite films of the year, send in the emails. Let us know what you thought about Sound of Freedom. And definitely send in your top 10 or top 5 plus 5 holiday movies because we'll read them out next week.
Yeah, should be fun conversation. I cannot wait. Good conversation here with you tonight, Zach. Until then, we will see everybody next week for our top 5 plus 5 holiday films. Until then, have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, guys, and we'll see you next week right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Merry Christmas.